Providing great therapy day after day can be challenging even for the best of us. At Blueprint, they believe that nothing should get in the way of you doing your best work, which is why they created a platform that provides therapists with an array of clinical tools. Things like therapy worksheets, intervention ideas, and digital assessments that are designed to help you and your clients stay connected and confident throughout the care journey. Even better, Blueprint helps streamline your documentation so you can spend less time on your notes and more time on the things that matter. To learn more and request a 30-day free trial, visit blueprint-health.com. Again, that's www.blueprint-health.com. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, episode number 879. I'm Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast. You know, it's interesting how when we talk money, it's one of the things that people want to hear the most about and also have an equal yet opposite reaction of an ickiness feeling at times. So today we are going to walk that line of really trying to talk about money with my guest, and we're going to dive into money issues, CFO issues, different ways to do consulting and to do private pay and raise your rates, all those things, while also recognizing that we are coming alongside you in your business and you get to take what we're talking about and apply it within your value set, within the way that you want to. And so we are going to dive in today around that. One word of anticipation / warning / caution. If you are around kids, this episode most likely is going to contain some curse words. And so use at your own discretion. You have been warned. I am so excited today to have Byron Wolfe. Byron has a gift for translating the complexities of business and financial principles with a focus on small businesses. He's the founder of CFO AF, a financial service and business consulting firm specializing in industries ranging from construction to crypto to all sorts of other small businesses. And he is the CFO of an Inc. 5000 company as well. Welcome to the show, Byron. Really glad that you're here.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be on and talk with you and talk hopefully to some audience members, drop some bombs on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing that I want to just start with is, as I've done kind of research on financial advisor types of people, one of the kind of primary ways that traditional financial advisors or people giving advice make money is you have your retirement fund underneath their view of it, and then they take 1 to 3% of the value of it. And I remember year after year, my ex-in-laws, as I had just my money in a Vanguard whole market fund, and I'm keeping up with the market, and they were losing money because of the person doing bad mutual funds and then taking their cut, and they were getting 1 or 2%. Now you and I are on the same page around financial advisor types not doing that. Would love to hear, why have you structured your company in a different way? And then we'll dive into some of the kind of questions that I have around that. But just wanted to start with that. And, why do you also see that as maybe not the best model?
So I agree with that. I mean, I think that if somebody's taking a percentage, then there's a greater propensity to just churn. You're going to keep money moving so that your percentage gets higher, and so the goals should be 100% on doing something for the client or finding wins for the client. But when the pay structure is set up that way, a lot of times it becomes the ultimate goal is to make more money for the person that's managing it. The other thing that I really dislike is contracts. And I feel like as a society, we've gone a little bit away from contracts. And so I wanted to make sure that there was full disclosure on what the cost of something was. And I didn't want to lock people into something. I feel like if you're providing good value and you're doing what's best for the client, they're never going to leave you. So needing a contract or needing to lock them into something just doesn't make sense to me. So when we started the company, I said, I'm not going to do contracts. I'm not going to take a percentage where it's unclear about how, we're getting paid or how much it's costing somebody. The whole point of what we do is giving people full financial picture of their business and of their life. So why would I contradict that by taking a percentage where it's hard to calculate and it's difficult to know how much is coming out and how much is going back in? I wanted them to have really, really easy insight into their finances, and really that starts with how we charge. So
Yeah.
that's how we came to that.
Well, we were talking before we started rolling about my audience, where one of the biggest questions I get is around private pay. So, people that don't take insurance, how do you value yourself, figure out your value? And then also, when people start to do consulting or offering services to businesses, it could be an EAP, it could be trainings, mental health evaluations, it could be public speaking for local businesses. When you hear about therapists doing or thinking about those things, what comes to mind for you as to the strategy they should take to really figure out their price point, figure out just like how to be successful at all that?
Oh yeah, good question. So I feel like you have to test the market, and so go out, give value first. I think that that's crazy important. I think if you can give value to your client or to the people that are your potential clients, that they're going to see how big of an impact you can have on their lives. And so I don't think that your prices have to be set in stone. If you charge a certain amount now, and as you build your reputation, you build up the value that you're providing for the client, if that amount tends to go up over time, or even if it goes down because you realize that you're able to do a lot more for a lot less, that's not a bad thing. I think if your client is bought into what is going on and you're really providing that rock solid value that you can justify your cost, or justify how much you're charging, the investment that they're placing in you to help themselves, they're not going to really have an issue with that price going up. And there's never really a scenario in which somebody would complain about a price going down. So don't even worry about that side of it. But as you become better and you become more of an impact, and you're having this really kind of beneficial impact on them and on their business, they're going to understand if you need to adjust those prices. And as you get more and more clients, economies of scale are gonna kick in, and so maybe you don't need to go up on your prices because you're able to provide more value to more people for the same price. Or as you become more and more popular, if you are really providing that value, people are going to understand that those prices go up. So don't get so stuck in, I need to charge this, and this is what I'm always going to charge for the rest of my life. It doesn't even have to be that way. Charge what
Yeah,
you think makes sense for the value.
Yeah, one of the rule of thumbs that we use with Next Level Practice, which is our membership community, a lot of folks are like, "When do I raise my prices?" And we often say, when you're 60% full in your private practice, raise your rates for new people and just go up by $25 to $50 per session to really just have that shock. If you're at 150 a session, you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's blowing my mind," and then you go up to 175 or 200 a session. I mean, that's going to make you get really excited about growing. And then if you add clinicians to it and you start to scale differently, and then you can realign annually with your current clients. And so being able to do that sort of thing there. But I think when we look at businesses that are hiring mental health experts, um, tell me a little bit more about that adding value, because I love that idea of really adding value. What would that look like? So let's take a therapist who's really good with trauma response and crisis management, and say a bank wants to hire them to teach their staff about de-escalation or things like that. Like, what would you advise that therapist do to add value to potential banking customers that might hire them for that type of service?
Oh no, that's a great question, and I'm gonna really blow their minds right here. So, as a CFO, fractional CFO, tax strategy, we build tax plans, things of that nature. I'm very very aware of the tax incentives that the government is currently putting out there, and so you piqued something with me when you said that, when you're talking about the banks and things of that nature. So if you can go into a bank or really any business, people that are in business to make money, and you're going to change the way that they look at, say, mental health, or a different way of looking at how you provide a more stable environment for the employees and then the people that they interact with. You're changing the way that that business is doing business, right? And so the U.S. government, the IRS, they provide a few different tax advantages. One of those is the research and development tax credit. And so a lot of people will overlook this one because they hear those two words, research and development, and they say, "Hey, that's for big tech firms, or that's big farm creating new medicines or drugs or whatever." But that's not exactly what it's for. Research and development it was designed so that we can find new ways of doing business that are going to create a better environment for that business and other industries that are related to it. So when you come into that business, you say, "Hey, look, we're going to provide this environment where your people are happier, where your people are more inclined to interact with customers in a better way. We're going to improve your processes. We're going to make your life better by improving the life of your employees." That is going to qualify for this research and development credit, which currently is up to $500,000 per year that you can get back in that tax credit. So when you go in, it's not necessarily, "Hey, this is what it's going to cost you." You need to come in with the, "Hey, this is the value that I'm going to provide. This is how I'm going to make the environment better. This is how I'm going to improve the business through improving your people. And then on top of that, I've got a really, really big cherry I'm going to throw on this Sunday, and I'm going to get you set up to get the money that you spend on this back to your company, back into the bottom line with a tax credit." Like, who can argue with that? Hey, I'm going to provide this huge value, and then I'm going to show you how to get it paid for, get it for free. Like, that's a pretty solid offer.
So I want to just make sure for those that maybe are like, a lot of my audience don't even know what a profit and loss statement is. And so a tax credit, explain just in basic terms what that is for people that maybe don't fully understand exactly how that works.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, hopefully all of our audience members, we're all paying taxes, right? I mean, it's one of the definitives of life. You're going to be born, you're going to die, and you're going to have to pay taxes. So, when you pay those taxes in to the IRS and you're paying those into the government, that's money that the government takes off of what you've earned. And so businesses as well have to do that. So they have a profit and loss statement, which is essentially all the money that comes in. They get to take their expenses out of that. And then the number that's left over at the bottom, that's their profit if they made money, or their loss if they lost money. So with a tax credit, what happens is when you file those taxes, that amount that they've spent on that would qualify for the research and development, that becomes essentially a positive number on that P&L. So that money gets to go back into the business as a tax credit. So if you had $100,000 that you made and it cost you $50,000, you'd have $50,000 in profit. The government's going to take their portion of that. Let's say that out of that $50,000, they want 20%, so they're going to take 10% or $10,000 of the 50,000 you made. Well, if you had that tax credit that was involved, let's say it was only a $10,000 tax credit, instead of giving the government that $10,000, you get to keep your $10,000 because it came back to you as a tax credit. So now you don't owe the government any money whatsoever. The other way that can work is, even if you were to, say, lose money, or maybe your tax liability was zero, when you get that tax credit, when you file that, let's say, same $10,000, you're going to get a refundable $10,000 back from the U.S. government because of the $10,000 that you spent on those applicable research and development expenses. That's
Mhm.
going to be a much bigger number for a company. I was just using those numbers for
Yeah.
simplicity. But it's fantastic stuff because that's money that gets to go right back into the business. And if you've developed that for them and you've been able to help that company to become better, and you've also given them that ability to get that money back, where do you think they're going to spend that additional money that they've now found, that you've helped them find? Probably with you.
Wow. As a therapist, I can tell you from experience that having the right EHR is an absolute lifeline. I recommend using Therapy Notes. They make billing, scheduling, note taking, telehealth, and e prescribe incredibly easy. Best of all, they offer live telephone support that's available 7 days a week. You don't have to take my word for it. Do your own research and see for yourself. Therapy Notes is the #1 highest rated EHR system available today, with a 4.9 out of 5 stars on trustpilot.com and on Google. All you have to do is click the link below or type promo code Joe on their website over at therapynotes.com and receive a special 2-month trial absolutely free. Again, that's therapynotes.com and use promo code Joe on the website. If you're coming from another EHR, Therapy Notes will also import your demographic data quick and easy at no cost, so you can get started right away. Trust me, don't waste any more of your time and try Therapy Notes. Just use promo code Joe at checkout. So, the average therapist, if they are trying to pitch this, take us through how they can explain this, like not being an accounting, financial type of person. So, I'm going to this company, I'm going to come in, do some mental health consulting, and then I say, yeah, and you can get this research and development tax credit. And they say, what are you talking about? What did I
Oh yeah,
say?
yeah, 100%, 100%. So as a CFO, as a tax guy, sometimes I tend to I get stuck in my own head and I understand these things. So I love that question. That's fantastic. When you're pitching this, to them, it's really more of a, hey, this is all the value that I'm going to give you, and I really want your listeners to focus on that because I feel like that's the biggest piece is, hey, this is the value that I'm going to provide. This is how I'm going to make things better within the company, within your employees, all of that. Focus on value. I think value is everything. If it doesn't have value, if they're not bought into the value, everything that happens after that, it just doesn't matter. So I want you to focus on the value first. And then once you've kind of gotten that across to them, you've given them this idea of how you're going to make the much more stable. You're going to provide this kind of mental safe space for those employees. You're going to help them to understand a number of different scenarios so that they're better able to deal with those things. They're better equipped to deal with these issues that may arise, either within themselves, within the company, within their coworkers. Then you hit them with, and hey, because you are changing things, because you're embracing innovation within your company, this could conceivably qualify for a research and development tax credit. And I think this is when you take a step back and you say, hey, I'm the expert in the mental health space, or I'm the expert in the coaching your people to be better. I'm the expert in whatever you're, the expert in, whatever you're providing that value in. I'm not the expert in tax plans, or I'm not the expert in this, but this does work, and I know other companies that have been able to take advantage of this. And here's the scenario in which they were able to take advantage of it. And then you
Mm,
say, you're changing something, you're finding a new way of doing business, and the IRS tax code is specifically written in a way that you can take advantage of it. And then you pass them on to the person that can. Like, you don't need to be the expert in that. You just need to make it available and say, hey, this is could be a reality. This could be how it's paid for, and then pass them on to a strategic partner that can do that. And so
mhm,
we do this all the time. People come to us, they say, hey, this is what we provided. This is the scenario. Do you think this would qualify? We look at it. We say, yeah, 100%. Connect me with them, and let's figure out how to get this research and development tax credit back to that company. So be the expert in your industry, but have good strategic partnerships that can walk somebody through that, because it's
mhm,
not your job to be everything for everybody. It's your job to be the expert in your field, but you should know the people that can help you through this process. And if and Joe, I don't want to jump out and be too presumptuous, but like, if you have listeners that need some advice on that, or if they say, hey, like, can you give me a little more information on that? I'm always happy to do that. I don't know if we want to put it as an add-on or something that maybe can walk people through that. But there's a lot of people like me that understand these things that can help them to navigate those waters. So it's not, again, not your job to be the expert in everything. It's your job to be the expert in the area that you're the expert, but have the people in place that you can refer them out to so they can take advantage of that credit.
Yeah, and I think that even, I mean, to say I'm an expert in mental health and, in the same way that when I do consulting, I say I'm not an accountant or attorney, we don't keep up with every single state's, tax code or things like that. But to at least know the words to say, I mean, if you're working with a Bank of America, they have a whole team of CPAs that,
Exactly.
may know about that, they may not know about that. So to even just, use what they already have, or, if it's a smaller business, work with partners like you or other folks that can walk that business through that. Because especially the mental health clinician, if they come back and they don't get it and they're like, we paid you $50,000 to do this on the assumption that we were going to get this tax credit, you definitely want to make sure you limit your own liability with that rather than be like, oh yeah, you definitely can get it. So
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
ask some selfish questions now. So being that practice of the practice is, helping therapists, every day we have, thousands of people we're helping. Um, Specifically to do new forms of private practice to level up to increase mental health access, is what we do something that we could offer our audience that's paying for, say, our membership communities or things like that? Is that something that would fall into that category of research and development?
It would. You have to be very specific on how it works. So, I like to use this analogy, and this works. So, if you go to a bar and you order a Miller Lite, or a beer, you're going to get the same Miller Lite. You're going to get the same beer every time. So that would not qualify because it's the same. You haven't changed anything. But if you go to that same bar and you order the signature cocktail that they have, well, that could be anything. Depending on the bartender, you're going to get a little bit different mix of alcohol. Depending on the bar that you go to, you're going to get a different signature cocktail. Depending on the quality of the water, if you're down in Mexico, you might not want to drink that, that cocktail because of the ice. But it's going to be different. So, think about it in those terms. If you just order a standard beer, it's not going to count. If you order that signature cocktail, then it has the possibility of counting. And
Mhm.
so when you go in and if your coaching platform is the same recipe for every single person, and it's just kind of you're buying a Google ad or something, not going to qualify. But if it helps them to improve the design or the development of their process, if it helps them to find a new way of doing business, or helps them to develop, say, new software that they can use in the pursuit of new clients or helping those clients, then it will. But you have to be building something. It's a new process.
Mm,
It's a new way of doing business. And if you're creating a new way of doing business or a new way of doing a process that can find improvement, and emphasis on can, it doesn't even have to be successful. It just has to be new. It has to be innovative. And if you're doing that, then 100% it's going to count. So in a scenario like what you're talking about, if if they're coming to you guys and you're walking them through a process to improve their process, and it has say benchmarks or KPIs, metrics, however you want to say it, if there's certain things that they need to get to move to the next level of insight or next level of training, then that's a process that they're going through to become better, to improve their industry, to improve their practice. And if you're doing that, then yes, it's going to count. If it's just
mm.
a band aid, not really so much because everybody can buy the same band aid. So it doesn't necessarily have to be completely new and innovative to like that specific person, but it can't be a standard within the industry. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that helps or
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
but
So it's like you're not gonna get the tax credit for a website update, but
exactly.
for our individual consulting, where we are working with individuals, digging into their practice, creating new systems, it's 100% personalized. That really could be an option. I'd have to talk to my accountant about pitching our membership communities because it is a clear process that's helping them upgrade. It's not new because it's being applied across the board, but it's new for that individual one. So now I'm
Yes,
wondering,
exactly.
like, another selfish question. I mean, I'm just gonna like ask my own question since I got you here. So like we're highly investing in the application of AI in mental health, and we've brought on a tech team that we've been working behind the scenes for about 6 months, really looking at how do we use AI more effectively. That to me sounds like that would be like a no brainer around this in regards to us. getting some of this money, reimbursed. Would that sound, I know you're not my accountant, but does that sound like it's in the ballpark of the kind of research and development that the IRS is looking at?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, we're working with a client right now who is doing something very, very similar. They're using AI to essentially build the software out so it has a interactive aspect to it that's going to improve the customer experience. And we've already got them approved for that credit, like a significant amount of money for that credit. And so, one of the things that I will add to that, let's say that you guys started working on that last year, we can go 2 years back on the research and development tax credit. So in last year would be an additional 500,000. The year previous would be 250. So in the current year, you're looking at about a $500,000 tax credit. Last year, if you had spent that last year, you could up to $500,000 there as well. And let's say that it went even further back and you were working on it in the year previous to that, there would be a $250,000 tax credit available. And so, like, I would highly encourage if people have not filed their taxes yet to look into this if you think you might qualify, because you want to get that tax credit put on your 2022 taxes, which, tax day is definitely coming up. Most people are probably going to do an extension. They're probably looking at actually filing in October after they've done their extension. So if you're in 2023 right now and you still haven't filed 2022 taxes, I would highly encourage you to talk to a professional about this and get their insight on that, because you may be missing out on some significant tax credits. But to answer that specific question, 100%. AI is new. It is insane. It is really awesome. Like, I'm highly encouraged by the AI that's out there. It's fascinating. And if that's something that you are doing right now, I feel like that's going to have a huge improvement on the way people process things. And I think you're going to be able to reach a lot of people a lot faster, a lot easier by taking advantage of this. So
Mm.
100% definitely look into this. I can't say with like complete confidence that it's 100% going
Yeah.
to be, but I feel very, very confident that it's going to qualify for that R&D tax credit for sure.
Yeah, so being that this episode airs June 8th, and a lot of people have already filed their taxes. Say some of my one-on-one consulting clients, wanted to go through and do this. What should they say to their accountant to like redo their 2022 taxes or apply for this to go back a couple years?
Yeah, so it's just going to be amended return. So we most people don't want to go back and do an amended because there's this incorrect. Let me put this. There's this incorrect assumption that if we amend our taxes, we have infinitely increased our chances of an audit. That's just not true. It is one of those like misunderstandings within the industry. I hear it all the time. People say, "Oh, I don't want to amend. I don't want to get stuck in an audit." It's just not true. It doesn't increase your chance of an audit like significantly. It technically does increase because you're filing a new tax form, which means it has to go back through that process of having that potential audit pulled. But it's a small amount of risk, and as long as you're applying this correctly, you should never be worried about an audit. The
Mm.
only people that are worried about an audit are the people that have a reason to worry about an audit. Like, if you're
Right.
not doing anything wrong, don't worry. So you would just need to amend those returns to get that tax credit. And the only negative to that is instead of being able to offset, like let's say you were filing, April 15th, and you had a tax due, you wouldn't be paying that tax because it would be offset by that tax credit. If you've already filed in April, you've already paid that tax or whatever tax was due, and you qualify for the R&D tax credit, then you're going to need to apply for a refund of what you paid. So the IRS would be issuing you a refund check, very similar to what you got with the ERC if you qualified for the ERC tax credit.
Mhm. Wow, so many great things. And it just really points to why having people smarter than you around money, taxes, accounting, legal is so important as you scale your business. Byron, the last question I always ask is, if every private practitioner in the world were listening right now, what would you want them to know?
And I am big on purpose. And so there's an amazing quote, and I'm not the smartest person on the planet, so I like to steal other people's smart words. But Mark Twain once said, The two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why. And so I love that quote because purpose is everything. And so if you're out there and you're a counselor or you're a coach or you're any of these that are helping people, I pray that you have found your purpose, because once you find that purpose and you know that this is why you're here, man, embrace that with everything that you have, because having your purpose and being able to share that with other people is absolutely everything. And I love what you said, Joe. Hey, I'm not the expert on this. I'm the expert on this. Like, be the expert in your area, be the expert in helping people, because that's going to give you more joy and more fulfillment in your life than anything else that's out there. And just count on other people to be the experts in their industry. Trust the expert to do what the expert does, and you be the expert in your space.
Oh, so awesome, Byron. If people want to connect with you, learn more about what you do, and also I know you have a free gift, where can they find you? And are there any swear words you want to say? Because we got through this whole episode with a warning and no F-bombs at all.
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate it. And I do try. I'm a military brat, so I was raised on it, and so I do have to warn people. One of my catchphrases, I'm sure if people are on social media, they may have heard me say this. I tell people all the time, I don't give a fuck about revenue. I only care about profit, right? And that's the reason I say that is because it doesn't matter how much you make; it matters how much you keep. And I think that
Mhm.
that's highly important, because the amount that you keep provides a better life for you and gives you the ability to do what you want to do. So if you don't have any money, you can't do any kind of charity. You're not able to help other people. But if you make really good money, you can buy the things that you want. You can help out where you want to help out. You can provide to charity. You can provide, for other people that can't provide for themselves. And it just opens a ton of opportunities. So don't be scared of profit. Profit's everything, guys. It gives you the ability to do all the amazing things in your life. But talking about social media, hit me up on social media, the CFOAF. CFOAF. That's on any of the social media platforms. It's also our website, www.cfoaf.com. If you are looking for that free gift, this thing's amazing. We built it out. I'm very proud of it. It's called The What If Plan. So it's at thewhatifplan.com, and it walks you through setting up a business to creating an exit plan. So it's kind of your guide to this business world. And for all the people out there that your listeners that are out there helping people and trying to provide this kind of value, you don't have to be the expert in business to do that. Let the other people be the expert. Like, use the amazing resources that are out there to create that, because I want you guys to focus on what you do, helping other people to have better lives and to improve those lives that are out there. My wife and I have an amazing relationship, like absolutely amazing. She's my best friend, she's my everything. We still go to counseling, we still talk to other people, we still do these things because we want to stay healthy at all times. So I'm very, very grateful to your listeners, to the people that are out there on the front lines helping people out and creating this environment of mental clarity and mental health that exists, helping people to find new ways to do business and to improve those businesses. So for all the listeners, you guys are very dear to my heart. I love what you do. Keep doing it. Be the expert in what you do.
So awesome. Byron, thank you so much for being on the Practice of the Practice podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Joe. Appreciate it.
I love finding new things like that out. I actually texted my accountant while we were talking to see if we can have a quick discussion sometime, this week about that tax credit. I want to make sure we squeeze that into the taxes before he files them. So I don't even remember if he did an extension or not. So yeah, take some action. Go out there, get some things done. And, there are too many things out there that can make your life easier. If you are frustrated specifically with your billing, your EHR, the way the client notes are done, even credit card payments, you need to have a system that will keep up with what you are building and scaling. And Therapy Notes is the best EHR out there. They will help transfer all of your clients over into their EHR. They have automated billing within it. They even have teletherapy as part of the platform. So you don't need to have a business associates agreement with Zoom or with Google or any of those things for your telehealth. So head on over to therapynotes.com, use promo code Joe at checkout so that they know that this podcast sponsorship is working. Also, if you're in one of our membership communities, reach out to us after you sign up for those 2 free months, and we'll actually get you 4 more free months if you're in Next Level Practice or Group Practice Boss. They have a special deal for us just for our members. So make sure you do that. Thanks so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.